Hello everybody, Jen from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am back with a brand new project using Doodlebug Snow Much Fun collection. This is one of my all-time favorites. I love the color palette in this, the purples and the blues and the aquas in the green. It's such a fun project. So what I have for you today is a Gatefold album. I've used the snowflake acetate on my closure, and then I've used it inside the book as well. So this is magnetized closed. I've just got a 4x4 cut apart with one of the stickers from the This and That sticker sheet. I've got some of the border stickers. I used pretty much everything on the This and That sticker sheet, which is rare for me. They're cute, but I end up using other things. On the back, I've got one of the stickers. I do like to do that on the Doodlebug projects on the backs of the project itself. This is magnetized closed. I did not mat the back side of these. I love this gray cardstock. This is new in my shop, and this is the first project I've actually used it on. So I did want to leave those as is. When you open up, we've got stacked pockets on the right and left flaps. They do have an acetate insert in them. I've used the tab stickers and the little heart stickers from the This and That sticker sheet on both of those, just to give you something to grab onto. Oh, I need to glue that down to pull them out. When you open up on this side, we've got one of the 3x8 journaling cut aparts, some of the 3x4 cut aparts, and then we've got photo space, top and bottom, and in the middle there. The other side, we've got the same thing going on. I used this cut apart over here, and we've got our photo spots here. And this one, my magnet must have moved, but those are both magnetized closed. Front of our center section, we've got a nice photo flip here. We've got odds and ends. We've got another border sticker and some of the stickers here and there from the This and That sticker sheet. On the back side of that flap, we do have a large acetate pocket. I did use the coordinating solids underneath there. Here's another one of the stickers. And then we've got odds and ends pieces here. On our next large flap, we've got a 5x7 photo spot along with our odds and ends and one of the stickers. On the back side of that, we have a belly band with a 3x4 waterfall. And we've got some 5x7 white photo mats underneath. We've got another acetate pocket on this flap with some odds and ends pieces. This pocket actually opens from the back side, and we've got a couple of photo spots on the back of that as well. Here I've got, on the next flap, we've got a pocket, and then I took the tag paper and actually made a second pocket on top, a shallower pocket on top, and then I've got just some of the coordinating solids as cut aparts. I used a bunch of the little sentiment strips from the sticker sheet on the bottom here. On the back side, we've got another photo mat, or a couple photo mats, and some odds and ends pieces. And on the back, we have a large acetate belly band with some inserts for 5x7. We've got two booklets that will hold 5x7 pictures, and that is the entire project. This one goes together. Oh my gosh, I must have touched that too much. This one does go together fairly quickly. There is a kit available on my website right now, and the tutorial starts now. Okay, so we are going to start with two pieces of chipboard that are 8 by 1 1/4, two pieces that are 8 by 4, and one piece that is 8 by 8. You're going to cover the backs of all of these with tape. We're going to start with our two 8 by 1 1/4. To wrap these, you need cardstock that is 10 by 4 1/4. I'm going to take my Clearview cover spacers. I've got my 1-inch top spacer, my 1.5-inch spine spacer. going to go ahead and get the backing off of one of these. Maybe. It wants to play nicely today. Go. Okay. We're just going to line that up, drop it down. Do the same thing with our second one. Okay. And there we go. Alright, I'm going to leave my top spacer. Next up, you need two pieces that are 6 by 10. So I'm going to replace my spine spacer with my 1-inch cover spacer. We're going to do our two 4 by 8 pieces. Okay. Maybe. And this is my new London Fog gray cardstock. It is a smooth cardstock. It is the same quality, weight, and whatnot as all of the other cardstock I use in my kits. This is actually my first time working with it since I got it, and it is so soft. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it, I love it. Okay, our last piece is going to be 10 by 10 for our 8 by 8 chipboard. It is the same smooth cardstock as my craft, and I absolutely love that. That is like usually my go-to, but this one, like the color, this, oh, that's amazing. And it is available in packs of 25 in my shop, so 25 sheets for $20. So same thing with the black, the white, and the craft. So just a little side note there. Okay, you're done with the spacers, so I'll put those away. Move my scoreboard off to the side. So now we're going to grab a bone folder. We are going to fold our cardstock around our chipboard. Okay, so I'm just using the cardstock, or I'm sorry, the chipboard, to fold that around. And then I'm burnishing down here on the outside edges. Okay, like so. All right, I'm going to do that with all of my pieces. So now I am going to find my scissors that are, there they are actually where they're supposed to be. And we're going to miter. So with that folded over, I'm going to go, you can see here where my fold line is. And I'm just going to take a little wedge out. Okay. Doesn't have to be overly aggressive. Just enough so that when we're wrapping things and whatnot, it's not hanging over, okay? So now we've got this and this. We're going to do the same thing again, the other direction. Okay, and we're going to do that on all of our pieces. Last two. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead on these 3 pieces. Okay, we're going to do score tape around all the edges. On our 2 spine pieces, we're only going to do this smaller top and bottom edge. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my glue. Ready to go. All right, so first thing we're going to do is on both of our spine pieces. I'm going to get the backing off of my tape, which I did a really horrible job putting it down on that piece. That's okay. You're going to put glue along the edge of the chipboard and then just a little bit in that space in between. We're going to fold up, push up against the edge of your chipboard, fold over, and burnish it down. Okay. We're going to do that on both of these. Come on. There we go. Okay. You can, of course, just use glue. You don't have to do the tape around everything if you don't want to. I just find it makes it assembly a little bit easier. Okay, so you're going to turn both of these pretty side up, and you're going to burnish along the edge of that chipboard. Okay, so you can see how that's now very defined. Okay, you're going to do that with both pieces. Glue all over the place. Okay, and then you're going to grab your tape one more time. And we are going to go along this outside edge on our wings. This way, when we are assembling, we can, it's going to grab immediately. Okay. All right, so then the other three pieces, you're going to wrap all four sides. Okay. All right, I like to do opposite sides, so I'm going to do my two long sides first. So again, glue along the edge of the chipboard, burnish, and fold over and down. Like so. Repeat that same process on the other two pieces. One more time. Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to grab this and my spine. Okay. So what I'm going to do is get the backing off of one side here. I just do better if I do it from this direction. Okay. We're going to add glue. You do not want to go all the way to the chipboard. You can see I've got a little bit of a gap there. You're going to lay this on top of the chipboard. You can visually see down here if you're lined up. You can feel up here with your finger. You're going to pull that over until you feel it slide off. And then drop it down. Okay? We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to turn it around. drop it down. We're going to do the same thing with these two pieces here. A little bit higher up than I should, but that's okay. So again, drop down, and one more time. You don't want to put glue over your tape, okay? That's going to kind of negate the whole idea of being able to have it grab immediately. If the glue is on the top of the tape, it's going to cause it to kind of slide. Okay, so turn this over, burnish this down. Okay, the last thing you need are two pieces that are 7 7/8 by 5 1/4. These are going to be our reinforcement pieces, like so. Both of these you want to cover 100% with tape. The reason for this is when you're putting this down, it's going to adhere smoothly all the way across. You can use glue. I don't recommend it. It can bubble. It can like not adhere the way you want it to. Using the tape will guarantee that it's going to adhere smoothly all the way across, but you have to have literally every inch of it covered. I prefer the rolls of tape from scrapbook.com. They're more economical. Score tape is amazing. The score tape sheets are great, but you have a lot of waste for the like $3, $3.50 a sheet, I think they are. You have a lot of waste. They don't stretch nearly as far. I can get one roll of the 6-inch double-sided tape from scrapbook.com for like $35, and I can do, I don't even know. One of those rolls, even as many albums as I do, one of those rolls usually lasts me 7 or 8 months. So just a thought. If I could carry this and sell it, I absolutely would. Okay, so we are going to center that up, top to bottom, and drop it down. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. All right, so I am going to burnish that down. And we're going to fold up and burnish into the crease. Fold up again, burnish into the crease. Go to this side, fold up, burnish into the crease, fold up, burnish into the crease. And then I'm going to close it up and I'm going to pinch. This is just going to set everything into place like so. Okay. Same thing over here. Okay, so there we go. There is our album base. Okay, so one of these I have already scored and mitered because I realized as I started doing this, what I had originally down was wrong. So you're going to have two flaps that are 4 3/8 by 8. With the 4 3/8 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. You're going to have 4 flaps that are 3 1/8 by 4 5/8. You're going to score these with the 4 5/8 at the top at 1/2 inch on all 4. And then we've got pockets. So we have two pieces that are 4 7/8 by 6. Starting with the 4 7/8 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 4 3/8. So 1/2 inch 4 3/8, turn it to the 6-inch side and score at 1/2 inch. Okay. You have 2 pieces that are 4 7/8 by 4. With the 4 7/8 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 4 3/8. Turn to the 4-inch side and score at 1/2 inch. So 1/2, 4 3/8, turn to the 4-inch side and score at 1/2 inch. Okay. So most of this has already been mitered, but on the big flaps, you're just going to miter at the top, or the ends, just like you always do. Okay. Same thing with your 3 1/8 by 4 5/8 flaps. Your pockets, and I'm going to stack and do mine at the same time. We're going to miter at the top. Okay, and then at the bottom where the score lines cross, we are going to cut all the way across. All right. So I'm going to grab one of my flaps and one small pocket, one big pocket. Okay, you're going to go ahead and fold and burnish. Okay, we're going to attach this down to the bottom corner. And then we are going to fold and burnish our smaller pocket, and it's going to go down on top. Okay, like so. Burnish everything down, then we can turn over, fold in our long tab, and burnish. Okay. For the second one, make sure your tab is facing the opposite direction, and then attach the pocket just like we did before. So then you have one long pocket and one short pocket, or shallow pocket, that is. Even then, it's still not super shallow. Okay. And then the next one. Alright, flip that over, burnish that down, grab our base. So one goes on the left, one goes on the right. Open this up. I'm going to take 2 of my smaller flaps One is going to go centered at the top. One is going to go centered at the bottom. Okay? And then it will be the same thing on the other side. So like you can get your ruler and get all technical and measure and be all like perfect and exact. I'm fine. Just make sure that they are lined up evenly because they will overlap just slightly. Okay. Looks good there. And there. Okay. So, how are we keeping these closed? We are going to go ahead and use magnets. So as always, magnets are included in your kit. If I use the magnets, make sure you slide them apart. Don't try and pull them apart. They can and almost certainly will break if you're trying to pull them apart. And I have lost my tape somewhere. It is under my phone. And apparently stuck to my phone at the same time, so there you go. Alright. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pick up my first piece with tape. We're going to go underneath this middle pocket. So about right there. Okay? Because you want to be far enough in from your hinge point and far enough in so that when you mat it, your magnet's not like hanging out the side. Drop that one down on top. And there we go. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. There. That was too much tape. That's okay. That's easy to fix. Alright, so there those. Okay. So, left flap. This will be the first flap that is on the top as you open your book. We are going to start with a piece of cardstock that is 8 by 9 3/8. With the 9 3/8 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 1 1/2. Okay. On top of that is going to be just a little flap. This is 4 by 8. With the 8 inches at the top, you're going to score at 4 inches. We do need to mat that before we put that flap down. We're going to have a piece of acetate that is 6 by 6 1/2. Just set that aside for right now. We have a pocket. This is going to be 8 7/8 by 7. The 8 7/8 at the top, we're going to score at 1/2 inch. And at 8 3/8, turn to our 7-inch side and score at 1/2 inch again. And we have a flap that is 4 by 8 with the 4 inches at the top. You're going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay, so before we do anything else, you're going to take this pocket, you're going to take your acetate. This acetate will end up going all the way to the top. And all I want to do, I want to look and see where I want to cut this. Okay. So we're going to be 1 inch in and 1 inch in and then 1 inch up from the bottom. Okay. So I'm going to grab my handy little Fiskars trimmer. I'm going to line my score line. So I can zoom in. And sorry, I didn't need to move the camera that much. Okay. So there's my score line. I'm lining my score line up at 1 inch. And I'm going to, just so I'm not looking at weird numbers as I do this, I'm turning this upside down. Okay. So I am going to go down to 5.5. Okay. Turn this over to the other side. Again, I'm going to line up my score line at 1 inch. Okay. So there's 1 inch. Score line is lined up. And again, I'm going to cut down to 5.5. Okay. We're going to turn this again to the 1 inch, which apparently I went too deep. How far over did I go? Let's just double check. No, shouldn't have been 5.5. Okay, so what was this? Was this? Oh, yeah, that would make sense. It shouldn't have been 5.5. It should have been 5. But you know what? It's still going to work because even though we cut just a little bit into that, it's not by a whole lot. It'll be fine because I'm actually going to put the acetate on top. Back it out. Okay. I'm actually going to put the acetate on top, which will cover that up, and then you're going to mat around this and cover up the edges of the well, no, we can still put it on the bottom because it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, so there's the bumpy side with my score lines. So it's been a while since I've done one like this. We're going to cut across on the bottom of our pocket, and we are going to miter at the top and at the top. Bumpy side up again. We're going to go ahead and put our acetate down. So since this is the white snowflake, there's not really a right side and a wrong side, other than you can kind of feel like the printing, you'll feel it just a little bit on the one side. That's the side we would it's preferable to have up, but it really doesn't matter with this one. It's good either way. Okay, so I'm going to take my 1/4 inch tape and I'm going to go out along the outside edge of my acetate. Okay. And that is going to go in just like so. It is going to go even with the top. Okay. Up with the top and then just burnishing it down. Okay, I'm going to grab my big flap wherever it went. We're going to miter and miter. Okay, bumpy side to the left. Okay, because this is going to sit on the back like so. So I'm going to fold and burnish. All right, and then this is going to go down on here just like that. Flap, we're going to go ahead and miter. And fold and burnish. And go ahead and put that at the top. Okay. Then we can fold over our gusset and our tab, flatten that back out, and we're going to go ahead and mat the front of this. So this is 7 7/8 by 8. So I'm going to grab my trimmer. And so we're going to cut this to 7 7/8 by 7 3/4. It is non-directional, so it's not going to matter which way we turn this. My pocket not glued down. I did not burnish that enough. And there we go. Now we're fixed. Okay, sorry about that. Picked it up and I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. Okay. So this, we're going to go ahead, put this down. Like so. And then we can fold and burnish our little flap. That's just going to go in the middle, and then you'll mat that with one of the 4x4 cut aparts. There are 3 4x4 cut aparts in this collection. I don't know which one I'm going to use yet, so we're just going to center that, and there we go. Alright, I'm going to set this aside for right now. We're not going to put it in the book just yet, because I will come back and I'll go through how to mat around this. The inside underneath here, honestly, with the gray and the white, I like it as is, but I most likely am going to use one of my solids there to mat underneath there, okay? If you want to corner around, you can on your little flaps, and like on this flap, I'm fine with it as is, so I'm going to set this one aside for right now. We're going to grab our scoreboard again, and we'll work on the right side flap. Okay, so let's go ahead and mat the 2 acetate pockets. So first off, our closure on this one is going to be magnetic. I thought my tape was right here, but apparently I buried it again because it's not. Seriously, how do I do this? It's insane. Okay, we're going to grab other tape, and it's fine. It's just bigger. All right, so first thing I want to do is you are going to put the first magnet underneath the acetate about 1 inch down, okay? The other one is going to go up here, like so, okay? And then that's what I'm matting the top of this with. The matting on this one's going to be super easy because inside we're just going to use one of the solids. And that will cover that up inside that pocket. Okay, so for around the pocket, what I have done is I've got this little border strip. This is an inch wide. This one is actually an inch wide. I cut this where I was right along the edge of the bottom edge of the trees and along the top edge of the mountain, and it made it about a 1/16 of an inch smaller, which is what we want, because we are going to mat right up to the edge, the top edge where that acetate is. So rather than leaving a gap, in just a tiny bit. So rather than leaving that gap, we're going to go right up to that edge. Okay. On the sides, these pieces are both 5.5. Is this what I was doing? Yeah. 5.5 by 15/16. So again, we're going to go right up to the edge of the acetate and only leave our space on the outside edge. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those down. If you want to leave the normal, 1/8 of an inch or, gap on both sides, you can absolutely do that. I'm doing mine this way just because, if you remember, I did cut down into this more than I intended to. And honestly, when you're trying to mat around these acetate frames like this, it's almost easier to not try and get that gap when you're trying to cut into something to mat around it. Okay. All right, so there we go there. That one's good to go. For this one, so we're now losing the ruler apparently too. So all set to do this. My husband came in looking for something. Okay, so this was 3/4 of an inch. Except mine's not quite exact. Okay, so what I did is I started with a solid piece that is 6 7/8 by 6 5/8. Okay. So what I want to do, I'm going to turn it to the side that I'm not facing up. Okay. So I'm going to line it up where it's going to go down. So I've got my, 1/16 of an inch on each side. And I'm going to mark. Okay. And then I'm going to go top to bottom. Same thing. And I'm going to mark again. Okay. Now, if you do not have a T-square ruler, I highly recommend you get one. It's just incredibly easy to do this type of marking if you have one, because I can line this up against the edge of the paper, line this up where my line needs to go, and draw my line straight down. Okay. The reason we're doing this on the back side, obviously, is so that, oops, we can mark this and not have to try to erase lines we've made on pattern paper, because it's going to be on the back side, nobody's going to see it. Okay. Like so. Now, this is where, again, the little Fiskars trimmer comes in handy, because I can line this up. Sorry, I need to move that so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. I can line that up underneath the little guide wire and then trim where I need to. Okay. out, turn this over, and figure out which way it actually was going. I think I had it right the first time. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get my glue on the back of this. Again, because we marked and cut from the back side, I don't have to worry about erasing any pencil lines or anything like that. And I can just go ahead and put this down where it needs to go. Okay. All right, back side, we need to put our magnets on here as well. This is our last set. I initially intended on doing a ribbon closure of some kind on both of these pieces, and I don't have anything I like with this paper. Had a gray, but I didn't want to do the gray again. Okay, so this one's gonna go on here. This one's gonna go on here. Over here, what I did is I took a section of the tags, I trimmed it to fit. I went ahead and cut out the little, what do they call that, dog ear top part? Just put a small strip under there and only glued on the 3 sides. So made that another pocket on top of the pocket. That's just plain matting. For this one, what I did is I cut it to the height, and then I measured between where everything is touching here, and it ended up being 7 13/16 is what I ended up with here. You will need to measure yours and figure out what fits underneath your belly band. And then I just slide it in place, hold it, lift up one side, glue, lift up the other side, and glue. Okay, in here, what I did, let's go ahead and zoom back out, oops, as I move the camera, didn't mean to do that. I did use the 3x8 journaling cut-aparts on here, and then I'll just mat with solids the rest of the way across on that. And I've got my sides and my front matted. I have not matted my back yet because we need to do our closure. So we are going to use acetate and we are going to use some solid cardstock. So let me get all of that ready and I'll be right back. Okay, so for your closure, you want 2 pieces of your acetate that are 4x6. Okay, and then we're going to lose our stylus again for the 700th time. All right, we are going to score this with the 6 inches at the top at 3/8. And 2 inches. Okay, so 3/8 and 2 inches. Okay. Before you fold anything on your little 3/8 tab, you're going to want to add tape. Still don't know where my 1/4 inch is, so I am going to use my 3/8. If it hangs over slightly, it's fine. It will get matted over, so it's not going to matter. Okay. All right. So I'm going to turn my book over. I'm going to use my centering ruler to center this on the back side. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and fold and just burnish with my fingers. It's acetate. You don't need to use the bone folder, especially where it's the heavy acetate. You'll be fine doing it without the bone folder. Okay. So I'm going to slide this under. Get this. And then I can move it till I get it centered. Just going to be right there. Okay. Now, turn this over. You need a piece of the gray that is 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. Okay? We are going to find the center on this one. Just make a very light mark, like so. And we are going to add adhesive. To that mark. Okay. We're going to turn this over, or turn this sideways. You're going to line this up to that mark. Okay. That should center it on your cup. Alright, we're going to turn to our other side. We're going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to turn this over, and slide this underneath, and I am actually going to just lay my ruler so it's the edge is against the edge of the book, and it's touching the side of my acetate on the other side. Okay. And again. I am just going to lay, well, maybe I am. Move this over too aggressively to start. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and put that down. Okay. Turn it back over. And we are going to lay our next 4 by 8, or 4 and 1/8 by 4 1/8. I know what I mean, I promise. On top, get the centers pushed together. And then we are going to mark. Okay. And again, I'm just going to do just a couple of pieces of tape that go in again, we're going to come back. So you want your chipboard pieces touching in the middle. I'll lay that down. Like so. Okay? And if it's slightly off, which mine is, come on. A little bit more on here just because I got that completely screwy. Okay. Which, is anybody surprised by that? We're going to do it from this side because I think that's going to be easier than trying to do it from the top. No, not quite. All right, there we go. Okay, so we are going to add our last set of magnets. Okay, so I'm going to get this closed, and I'm going to put this right in the middle. Okay. We'll see if this set's going to work the way I want it to. Okay, there we go. So I am going to mat on the top with this little cut apart. Sorry, didn't realize I was back out of frame again. I am going to use tape all the way around the outside edge on this. We may need a bigger magnet. That's what I was trying to determine. Okay, let me grab the bigger magnet. Where's the bigger magnet? There it is. Yep, we are going to use, so when you get your kit, the big magnet is what's going on this one. Which thankfully that is super easy to fix. So I wasn't entirely sure how I was going to do this closure on this. Couldn't decide if it was going to be a big magnet, if it was just going to be a belly band that you slid off and on. Decided I didn't want to do that. Okay, hold on. Let's get ahead of ourselves here. Let's not put tape on that yet. It's going to hold better. Do I need to go up one more? Let's try that. Yep, that one's going to hold for sure. Okay, we're good. That's going to be the one. So the bigger magnet is what's going to go on your front. Slides back a tiny bit, that's fine. Okay, and then on the front of the other piece, you're going to use the back side of our other 4x4 cut apart to mat on that one. Oh, that's why it's moving, because that one's not stuck down all the way. Oh my gosh, seriously. You know, there are some days that I literally just question why I chose to work on things today, because clearly it's not working for me today. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix this one. There we go. All right, so that one is now where it's supposed to go. And then we can go ahead and get our adhesive on our other cut apart. Okay, here we go. Backing off all the way around on this one. And go ahead. If I could actually, you know, line this up the way I want it, would help. For some reason I use glue. All right, so if you wanted to mat the back sides of those, you could. I'm gonna leave them as is. I love this gray paper. All right, so then we're just gonna go on the back. I am going to add another strip on top of that, and on top over here, and then we will glue our back piece on. So it's up to you if you want to use the snowmen or the snowflakes. I personally want the snowflakes. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on the back. And then I will go back and finish matting on my inside. I've got a couple spots left. Basically the insides of the pockets that I'm doing with the solids. But there you go. That is your project. Yeah, except I didn't glue that one down yet. That's okay. All right. So there you go. As always, thank you for watching. If you end up making this project, either buying the kit or just making it with your own paper, I would love to see it. Please share it with me. You can tag me at Scrapping Under the Influence on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. There is also the Scrap Happy Peeps group that I totally forget to talk about. And honestly, I forget to post in there too. You can share anything you make. It does not have to be one of my tutorials, but there we go. And I will see you again soon.